Ralph Lauren is an iconic brand for a reason. They have been able to stand the test of time and really solidify themselves as an American heritage brand coveted around the world. Just look at their American flag 100% cotton sweater that had everyone in a chokehold the past couple summers, where you couldn't turn around and not see someone wearing it regardless if they were American or not. To me, that is true brand influence and brand relevancy, that a brand like Ralph Lauren could still be so interesting not only to more mature audiences but also to younger audiences as well. So, today we're going to break down step by step how to dress like you shop at Ralph Lauren without actually having to purchase any of their items. Because what you're drawn to is partially the items, but it's actually something more, which we'll get into in today's video. Grab your tea or coffee and let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel, The United Colors of Style, where the divas are into details. So without further ado, let's dive in. I want to start this video off by highlighting some important overarching themes that you should keep in mind throughout this video and also throughout your styling and fashion journey. Number one is a lot of Ralph Lauren garments are made from really high quality materials. So 100% wool, 100% cashmere, 100% leather. And I really highly encourage you all, whether you shop at Ralph Lauren or not, to keep that in mind because it is so, so important to get the same type of fit or the way that the garment falls by looking for only materials that are really high quality. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. And the second thing to keep in mind is the reason why you are really drawn to Ralph Lauren, specifically their runways and their mannequins, is because of the way they style the garments. So the garments themselves aren't anything too revolutionary, but it's the details, it's the layering, it's the texture play, it's the accessories that draw you to it because they are so masterful at styling. And I think that's what's really important for you to understand, that even if you do buy every single thing at Ralph Lauren, if you don't know how to style an outfit, if you don't know how to put those pieces together in a cohesive way, it's going to be hard to get that same type of look. And I think what's most important is for you to know what colors that you love in your own wardrobe, what colors complement you, what silhouettes you feel most comfortable and confident in, and complement you. That is the foundational layer that is so important. And then beyond that, kind of understanding what accessories kind of really accentuate the type of vibe you want to give off, that make a statement about who you are and what type of person you are, etc. And then beyond that, building off of those small details and really knowing how to layer, how to add texture. And I have videos on these breaking down visual interest. I have a whole series regarding this. So I definitely think you should check it out. But understanding your color theory, your texture play, your layering, etc., that is the real, and accessories, of course, that is the real secret sauce to achieving these type of outfits. So the way that I want to approach today's video is by kind of creating a mini capsule wardrobe for you guys based off of each style essence that I highlighted in my previous Ralph Lauren video, just to give you an idea of how I would approach integrating certain items into my wardrobe if a certain kind of niche, quote unquote, aesthetic that's a part of the Ralph Lauren brand really spoke to me. Again, I want to highlight the importance of the fact that you don't need to stick to just one specific aesthetic in your wardrobe. As long as it's cohesive with the other pieces, there can be elements of boho and elements of Americana and elements of English countryside that all work well together to create cohesive outfits and can exist alongside one another without feeling too much of contrast or caricature. Starting off strong at number one is 90s minimalism / quiet luxury. And when I use those terms, especially in regard to the Ralph Lauren brand, I'm referring to the use of their very balanced, minimal silhouettes. So, not too baggy, not too tight, very much tailored, but still movable and breathable. Also, I'm referring to their neutral color palette, a lot of their monochromatic looks, their minimal use of accessories, except for maybe one statement belt here or there. Just very kind of more traditional and not that avant garde outfits. So, very just simple yet effective and chic and still intentional and somewhat tailored. So for this capsule, I would highly recommend a high quality either merino wool, just normal wool, or cashmere turtleneck, especially in a more neutral color palette. I personally like beige and black, but you need to think about what works best for you and your personal wardrobe palette. It doesn't have to be these two specific colors, but I would suggest, again, a more muted version of any color. So let's say you love purple and red. If you have a more muted purple and red, you can still rock this more minimalistic, quiet luxury aesthetic without it having to be that exact same beige, white, black color palette. So definitely some turtlenecks, crew necks if you're into that. Definitely a really great trouser. I do love a pleated trouser. If that doesn't work for your silhouette, it's completely up to you. I would say a really beautiful pair of 100% cotton, just a nice straight leg black denim. I think that that can be dressed up and dressed down so much easier than a blue denim, in my personal opinion. I don't know. I just feel like you can get away with so much more. And then I put two different colored wool skirts. And I don't know if it's just the season of my life, but I am so into the midi maxi wool skirts in winter. I just think it's so beautiful. It's such a fun silhouette, and it's really just kind of a breath of fresh air in a sea of pants where you just have that skirt even in kind of a more tumultuous weather, but you have your heat tech underneath, so it still kind of makes sense. I just really love it, and it really speaks to my personal style. And then as far as shoes go, I would say one kind of flatter, but maybe with a little bit of a heel, ankle leather boot, and then a higher knee leather boot. Again, it depends what colors you like. I'm going to stick with black because to me, not only is that the most versatile, but also when you are out and about and it gets scuffed or you get little watermarks or snow, etc., it won't show as severely as other colors, and I think that to me increases its longevity in my wardrobe, and I'm always trying to think about keeping things as long as possible. So and then moving on to accessories, definitely like a very muted, slightly slouched, but still with some structured shape silhouette bag. I think black, again, for me, extremely versatile. Of course, 100% leather, and then two really beautiful belts. I would say one a little bit more chunky and more statement for the skirts, and then thinner for maybe the trousers and the jeans. That's just my personal preference. And then, of course, the piece de resistance is your wool outerwear, your wool coat. These two coats, I like brown and black. Again, that's my personal color palette. And just putting those all together, I think I counted it up. You can make over 40 outfits just with all of these items in rotation and really have that very much runway, off the runway, Ralph Lauren 90s aesthetic, which I think all of us love and appreciate and realize how timeless and effortless it is. So I think for me, those are the key items that I would include if this is an aesthetic that speaks to you. Next up, we have boho chic, and this is again more of that ruffly lace with some leather elements. Again, somewhat muted natural color palette, but very easy, breezy, and just that more 70s aesthetic. And for this capsule, I would definitely say it's so important to have a white ruffle top, it can be cotton, it can be silk. And I think having that really brings that more bohemian essence in. And then I added in a suede midi skirt because I feel like that to me is just so quintessential boho, as well as a brown jean, a black boho skirt with the lace detailing, and then, of course, the black denim. And this aesthetic is definitely where accessories can shine. I think it's important to have a really fun boho statement belt, and I think belts are super important in this aesthetic. If you look at the Ralph Lauren runway, you see so many belts being used. And then a fun kind of pop of color, maybe turquoise necklace as I put in here. And then again, all about the ruffle, all about the paisley, which is just so 70s boho to me. And again, that's where the belts are really going to shine with these ruffle and paisley midi dresses that I have on screen. Those are going to look beautiful with the belt as well as boots. And then I also have a leather trench in addition to a wool trench in here because I feel like, again, playing on those more earthy colors with some texture play is really giving that boho vibe. And especially when I look at the purses that I've included, a lot of suede included in there too. So again, it's all about just understanding the essences and trying to incorporate those in. And let's say you like the minimal and the boho, so our previous aesthetic and this aesthetic. What you can do is you can swap out the bag I put in the minimal 90s minimalism quiet luxury section with a suede bag and give those elements of boho. Or, for example, wear the dress and the boots and maybe skip on the belt, but wear a really structured 90s minimalism coat. So there are ways of integrating both and honoring both essences that you may be attracted to. Next up, we have the English countryside aesthetic, and this can also be called the more equestrian style. And again, I think this is very similar to the 90s minimalism capsule wardrobe or a lot of the elements. There are very neutral, fitted, etc. But here I would say there's a lot more texture play, a lot more herringbone, a lot more tweed, a lot of a little bit more rougher edges to kind of symbolize being outside, being in the elements, being on a horse. It's a bit more rugged. And I think that is easy to kind of incorporate and thread throughout the capsule here. I think I really wanted to focus on having those different textures present, especially in the outerwear. And of course, here you need to have a pair of riding boots, of course. And again, in a way to make this, there are definitely ways to make this less of a caricature, I would say. I think there are a lot of ways that you can wear riding boots without looking like you just came from the stables. And I think especially wearing riding boots with like a skirt, I think that kind of makes it a little bit more modern and less of a caricature. But I think incorporating these different elements found in the capsule wardrobe on screen really will help to kind of give that essence of equestrian, English countryside, that more upper echelon riding culture that so many people love and that Ralph Lauren really speaks to in his style elements. Moving on to the preppy country club, yacht club aesthetic, I really wanted to focus on creating a capsule wardrobe that really stayed true to the colors in this kind of thread that you find throughout the Ralph Lauren brand. Because I feel like in his other quote unquote aesthetics, he's a lot more muted, but in the more preppy side of the Ralph Lauren brand, he's a lot more playful with colors. It's very much that more collegiate, again, country club, prep club vibe, which I think is really fun and more playful, but also has elements of like a more nautical vibe. So for this capsule, I would say it's all about kind of leaning into, of course, having a polo, but stripes, and having that different texture play and just really playing with that more nautical essence. Again, like I think also here is where you would definitely want to have more like of a white sneaker, or again, play on that more youthful vibe that comes from this side of the brand and more casual, I would say. So just playing up those different elements, I think would be a great way to kind of incorporate this essence into your personal style. And last but not least, we have the more Americana essence. And this is where I would really focus on playing up the more Western side of the Ralph Lauren brand. Again, with a lot of suede, a lot of fringe, a lot of kind of the more play on the Southwest kind of vibe. And again, very muted, neutral color palette, but a lot more texture play here. And I think even adding in a cool cowboy boot or cowboy hat, if you're that bold, is definitely on brand for this. But specifically for me, I wanted to play into suede and denim here because for me, I think those are two really fun textures and really fun materials that can say so much and are such kind of classic, timeless um, materials and elements, and just really have such a fun kind of way of evoking a different vibe to what seems like a simple outfit. So, of course, some sort of flowy white top, blouse, definitely some plaid in there. A fun statement belt with, I think, some level of kind of brighter, bolder elements to it. So, not a plain belt, but definitely more of a glitz and glam type of belt, I would suggest. Of course, leather, whether it be suede or just full green leather, is a must for this. I also included a denim mini skirt because I feel like, especially with the more Western vibe, it can be really fun to have different silhouettes beyond just more of traditional pair of jeans. Again, obviously cowboy boots. So just adding these elements into your everyday wardrobe, I think just taking one of them and adding them to a simple outfit can give you and evoke that feeling of Western vibes without you having to go all the way and have a full outfit. I mean, if that is truly authentic to you, go for it. But again, there are ways of, especially with accessories, incorporating these more Western style accessories into a pretty simple, quote unquote, minimalistic outfit and still evoking that Western vibe without being a costume caricature of what is thought to be Western. In conclusion, I really want to emphasize that all of these suggestions are not necessarily for you to go out and buy Ralph Lauren or even the suggestions that I made today. It's more of you to get an idea of how to incorporate the different elements and really go step by step of like, okay, if I want to be more Western, suede kind of alludes to that. So maybe I should look out for that the next time I go thrifting or the next time I go on a secondhand platform. So it's more about understanding how to evoke certain aesthetics and certain essences without necessarily becoming a caricature of them. And again, reminding that we don't live in these silos or in these style bubbles. There is very much opportunity to mix and match different aesthetics in a cohesive way if that speaks to you and your personal style. So don't feel like you have to be boxed in. And I think it's just important to keep in mind what you prefer as far as how garments fit on your body, what silhouettes you like, your proportions, etc. And just remember that confidence and comfort are always key. As always, we'll be ending today's video with an inspirational fashion quote. Today's fashion quote comes from my absolute favorite, Ralph Lauren. He states, "My thing was always about individuality and about creating a world. Because you don't just wear clothes, you live a life, you have style, you project who you are." Thank you so much for watching and sticking around for the entire video. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!